Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Let's look at the story of Simon Ekpa. Simon Ekpa, most Nigerians might know, is a 40-year-old citizen of Ohaku, Ebonyi State. And he's recently, very recently, been sentenced to 6 years in jail for terrorism-related offenses. It's been something of a running story in the sense that Nigeria has tried its best to extradite him to come and answer charges, and that hasn't been possible. But he has just been sentenced to 6 years in jail, and as soon as he's finished that, the Nigerian authorities have indicated that they will be striving to extradite him back home to come and answer charges at home. Well, that's to one side. We'll talk a bit more about the man, as we move on. In 2022, while in Finland, he declared the activation of the Biafra government in exile. And, he's an offspring of IPOB, the indigenous people of Biafra. IPOB itself is a banned organization, but here we are. And so this gentleman, this Nigerian citizen, also who has dual nationality, is also a politician, as a matter of fact, in Finland. Well, he has now become a convict, and we'll see how all of that goes. But my guest is Mr. Dennis Amakre, M-O-N. He joins us remotely. He's a security expert, and thank you very much, as always, Dennis, for coming on the program to talk about these matters.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Yori.
My pleasure. The news, the news of his, well, I don't know, not everybody heard of his arrest, but certainly by yesterday, there were pictures in the papers where he was seen in court, and now he's been sentenced to 6 years, showing that the Finns themselves take a very dim view of the kind of things he was charged with, and actually have managed to find him guilty and sentence him to 6 years. How did you feel about that news? Because I don't know that anybody saw it coming.
I think we saw it coming. He was arrested. It was well publicized. And of course, the Finnish government decided to try him. He has been in the prison custody for a while. They took him to court, and then, of course, what many people might not know is that the Nigerian government, especially the National Intelligence Agency, Foreign Affairs, and the DSS, has been working with the Finnish government and giving them compelling evidence, with which yesterday they used in, convicting him.
Indeed, because it is stated that he was jailed for terrorism-related activities, and there have been no reports that this terrorism extended to Finland, but he has always been instigating violence. And I imagine the charges would have been framed around that particular fact, that he's been inciting violence for him back home in Nigeria. And I think ultimately the Finns found that they just had to do something about this matter because the evidence apparently was overwhelming. I don't know, first of all, his rise. How do you think this 40-year-old gentleman, as I said in the opening, he's from Ebonyi State, Ohaku in particular, and he went over to Finland as maybe part of IPOB, certainly, but now he's even styled himself the prime minister. He's styled himself the prime minister of IPOB, and as you know, it's a banned organization.
Yes, he fashioned himself the prime minister of Biafra. And of course, if you remember very well, there were a group of people that actually came together in Europe and tried to even create a Congress of Biafra where some ministers and were appointed, a big elaborate ceremony. But at that time, he has already been arrested, so he couldn't attend that particular ceremony. And they did all that. They were trying to raise money all across the world. And of course, with this conviction, of course, we've not been hearing about them again after that ceremony. So now that he's been arrested, not only for terrorism charges, there are other charges too. The guy has been he has been doing things against the Finnish government. Like he's a lawyer too. He's a lawyer, but before you practice, just like in Nigeria, you have to practice after you go to law school, the Nigerian law school, and you're a member of the Nigerian Bar Association. They have something like that too, which he has contravened the Lawyers Act in Finland.
Well, just to tell our viewers that we might be, operating on our alternative channel, and just for you to know. But viewers can continue to watch this program right now on our YouTube channel. I think it's the This Morning on TVC flag, whatever it is. But the program, we continue with our broadcast here. Okay, so as I was saying, that's what's operating on another stream of TVC, but we continue here. Yes. Sorry, actually we'll fade down entirely the audio coming from that other channel so that we can't hear it anymore. As it is, we are still hearing it. And are you also hearing it?
I'm hearing you, Yori.
Oh, excellent, excellent. That's fine. So, in fact, Senator Shehu Sani has, offered the commentary. He also, of course, entirely different circumstances, had reason to be incarcerated, in Nigeria here politically. So he says he knows what it's like, and he also, from his idea of, from a worldview, it's going to be like a picnic. He needs to be here and to face our own justice system. And then if he is indeed convicted, then they will know that he is actually serving a sentence. But there are those who believe that he's not serving a sentence yet, as he's in the Finnish jail over there. They might actually have color television. They might actually have color television there and that kind of a thing, as we read on social media. So I don't know what the idea. What do you think about the idea that he's been convicted now, which is fine,
Yes.
but that he needs to come back and also face the justice here? Would that not be something of a double jeopardy? Would it not be?
It's not, Yori, it's not a double jeopardy. There are, in repatriation or extradition of prisoners from foreign countries, sometimes the agreement would be one where he will serve the Finnish jail term, and then maybe towards the last 1 or 2 years, he will now be extradited to Nigeria to finish the jail term. They cannot jail him twice, except the Nigerian government have other, charges against him, other criminal charges against him, which maybe the Attorney General will bring forward. But I think that's left for the lawyers. The thing is that to extradite him to Nigeria, it might be very, very difficult Now, three people are supposed to take that decision. The Finnish government, the Nigerian government, and the prisoner himself. Because if he comes or his lawyer says that if he comes down to Nigeria, he will be tortured or he will not have a fair hearing, I think they take those kind of things seriously. And basically, our prison correctional center situations. So he would prefer to even remain there, just like you said, it's a vacation. Um, yes, of course, they don't dehumanize people over there in prison. Yes, he can watch TV, can eat 3 times a day. Um, but I don't think you want to leave that and come to the situation that you might encounter in Nigeria.
Especially if he has a choice in the matter. Especially if
He has a
anybody else,
choice.
if he has.
He has a choice because according to Finnish law, the three people, that is the Finnish government, the Nigerian government, and himself, have to agree, because he, as a citizen of Finland, because
And a politician, and
yes,
an elected politician as well in
yes,
Finland.
and they have a law. They have a law in Finland that they cannot extradite to, countries outside the EU, the
I
European
see.
Union.
I
You
see.
know.
I see.
So all these are complications that could happen if Nigeria is attempting to bring him down here. But well, the Nigerian government and Finnish government are cooperating very seriously. So maybe that cooperation might extend, especially when it comes to terrorism, just to show to the world that, you cannot do terrorism and get away with it. You must be accountable, held accountable for all that he has done. And again, it's also a warning to social media content creators who feel that I can create any kind of content I want. But if the content borders on terrorism or leads to violence, then they have to hold, there are consequences.
Mm. Whereas from the Nigerian point of view, it would have appeared to perhaps the Nigerian authorities that they were being unduly lenient with this guy, that they had provided information to the Finnish authorities about that he was busy, instigating violence. For instance, I think it goes back to maybe 2022 when he said that he had been appointed by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu himself, at the moment within the works, the legal works, had been appointed as the spokesman for IPOB. But I recall that IPOB has tried to get him off their back for a long time, but man just refused to step down. I think Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has also said it, that he has no function within IPOB, but the guy, he just insisted and he continued. And now in the Finnish judicial system, they have found that he has, infringed against their law. And they went in an undue haste to arrive at that conclusion. You recall that when we wanted it to move at a swifter pace, they had been explaining that, well, you see, there are aspects of Finnish law that must be satisfied. This man is a citizen, apart from everything else. And so it must comply. But at the end of the whole process that ended up, yesterday or so, when this sentence was announced, they've now found him guilty. So he went through all the strictures, whatever the hoops, and they've said that, yep, under Finnish law, we can agree with the evidence before us that you are indeed guilty of the charges as laid. The charges weren't too specific as far as I could find out. It's just terrorism-related offenses. I don't know which particular one, because I think they'll have a whole dossier of things that he has done that are actually treasonable from our point of view.
Yes, from what the Finnish court has done, with great support, like I said, the great support from the Nigerian government, because the Nigerian government and security agencies supplied a lot of compelling evidence. And of course, maybe if people might even remember, he is the one who has declared this sit at home in the eastern
That's
states.
right. Mm-hmm.
And, according to SBM intelligence, there are, that sit at home has people, have been killed. In fact, that's where even the terrorist activities come to fore, whereby till today, many people will not go to work on Monday, because it was a day that Ekpa has declared as sit at home, and all these unknown gunmen, those people they call unknown gunmen, who are taking directives from him, have killed innocent people, done all kinds of atrocities. And of course, there is no better definition of terrorism than that kind of act.
One hopes that this will also be a cautionary tale to other members of IPOB, aka IPOB, indigenous peoples of Biafra, because first of all, remember that not INEC, IPOB has been declared by, I think, at least a court in Nigeria as a terrorist organization. But they still exist. They still exist, and they even are speaking in the name of IPOP. We will sometimes describe them as speaking on radio or something, and they identify themselves with IPOP. This whole idea, is Nigeria itself, is Nigeria erring on the side of caution, or the fact that IPOB has been banned, you shouldn't be hearing about it as much, but we still do. We still do.
Well, IPOB is a terrorist, has been declared a terrorist organization. And then, of course, declaring it just made them to go underground. It's not that they don't exist anymore. They exist, and then, of course, you're having these sit-at-home things being enforced by the military wing of IPOB, and they have been doing their job, and they, of course, created fear into the minds of people. The Nigerian security agencies have also been on their back, because some of their members have been arrested, some had been, killed because there has been the exchange of fire between them and the Nigerian security forces. So that one is very much alive. And like I said, if Nigeria wants him to come to answer for those charges, well, that will be a different story. But I think they have supplied a lot of evidence which contributed to his being, convicted yesterday. So I think they are working together so that we don't have a double jeopardy.
Okay, let me bring on Mr. George in Ikeja. Good morning. Okay. Good morning, George in Ikeja. Good morning. Okay, George has got us through our YouTube channel, and so there might be some sort of a delay. But can you hear us, George? George? Okay. Maybe George will get the impression that we have connected with him, but we're waiting for him to connect back with us and go on and say what he needs to say. I suppose there's no getting rid of, because for people who are viewing this not at home, but in the diaspora, they probably need to know that one of the things that IPOB is agitating for is, removing, as it were, their area from Nigeria and setting up an independent state of Biafra. Okay, George, you're back now. Good morning, George.
Okay, good morning, Uncle Yori. I wasn't hearing you before.
Okay.
Yes,
fine.
Good morning to Mr. Makri.
Yes, okay.
Uncle Yori, I am surprised that Ohano Zendigo did not send a delegation to Finland to tell the authorities there that it's our son, it's not the only one. It's a mere... Don't forget, sir, that the activities of this Simon Ekpa is an offshoot of the criminal activities of Nnamdi Kanu. He is a lieutenant of Nnamdi Kanu. And some people are saying that the IPOB owned him. Whether the IPOB disowned him or not, Uncle Yori, did it stop the activities of IPOB? Don't forget, about over 7,000 people have died in the Southeast because of the insecurity that is created and propagated by these two men. The economic vitality of the Southeast has virtually been destroyed. Some students cannot write exams if it falls on a Monday. People cannot go out to their normal businesses. And then the people that are responsible for it, you are telling them, release them, it's our son. Is your son free to become a criminal and a detriment to the peace of other people without repercussion? It has happened there. What has happened in Finland now, Okuyori, is like an indictment to our own judicial system. When is Nnamdi Kanu going to get his own justice? That's what we should be talking about now. Whether you bring the money back to Nigeria, you extradite him to Nigeria or not, the justice system should be such that it will resemble what has happened in Finland now.
Yes.
So that when somebody commits an offense, he knows that he will pay for it. He will be better off for it in our country. I must say kudos to the Finnish government for what they have done.
Okay. Thank you very much. It looks like Nnamdi Kanu, he sort of lost control because he has disowned, Simon Ekpa and all his shenanigans, but he has just been ignored. And furthermore, he has said that he's actually the Prime Minister of Biafra, of a Biafra government in exile. Dennis?
Yes. I think there was a rift between two of them. And then, of course, because Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention and he is free, he has been propagating and then, of course, almost been like the arrowhead of the Biafra movement. And like I mentioned to you earlier, there was this Congress that was held. I don't know whether it was even held in Finland, but there was a Congress that was held. And
I think it was in Finland.
Were appointed foreign ministers,
yes.
Minister for Energy, and all kinds of things, that were done then. And then, of course, people were seeking for donations and stuff like that, which will be paid back to them when Biafra becomes a sovereign nation. But we don't know where all that money would have gone to now. But because after the inauguration, we never heard of them again.
Indeed.
And of course, should I say it's an indictment on the Nigerian judicial system? Not really, because the Attorney General of the Federation has been working very closely with the Finnish government. We had the Chief of Defense Staff, the DSS, NIA, and Foreign Ministry have been working with the Finnish government. So most of the evidence they used in convicting him, I think, were produced by Nigeria. Okay. So I think there's cooperation instead of, should I say, blaming Nigeria for what happened.
Okay, Mazi has come on the line. Mazi, can you hear me? Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, sir. I can hear you clear, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, I guess.
Good morning.
Now, when we talk about the Mazo transformation, when we talk about Samuel Ekpa issue, sir, you see, there is need for the government of Eastern Nigeria. You know, up to today, among some areas in the Eastern Nigeria, all those tribes that gathered in Eastern Nigeria, people are still staying at home on Mondays.
Yeah.
Up to today.
So we hear.
Which is not healthy. So, in as much as the courts have just given back jail time, I pray, by the grace of God, the court appeal will upheld it that Ekpa go to jail. Even if you go to Supreme Court, Ekpa go to jail. At least less people here in Eastern in Nigeria rest. Because I see no the way human beings, they are giving you free gifts of nature. You are there. You are just turning the whole system, bringing problems to people in Nigeria, which is not healthy. Honestly speaking, kudos to the judge. That is a lesson to we here in Nigeria. That judicial system in this place should take speedy action. Anything that has to do with criminality, anything that has to do with terrorism, anything that has to do with all these kidnappers and etc. With immediate attention, immediate effect, like the military will take action, transfer or immediate effect. That is what I want the judicial system to do now or never, because the action, you see, they told us that was the editor, that Ekpa is going to, they will take it to the court, they will wait for the court. Very speedy, on the decision, speedy. So that is what I want, that our judicial investigators here, judicial, that is the police, or whether police or security agent that investigate cases, should be what? Very, very speed. To use speed, to be fast. Anytime you're investigating any case, to make sure that such issue in terms of terrorism, you take every smart action to make sure that such person is being charged to court and the court is decided. I'm very happy with the judicial system in Finland. Honestly speaking, kudos to the judicial system in Finland. May God bless them and you have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you, Mazi. Really appreciate your calling in. And, Dennis, I suppose there will be the matter of law. Maybe he has a right to appeal. So do you have any information on that as to following this sentencing?
I have not got any information about his lawyers appealing, but of course, that is something that he can do. His lawyers will advise him to appeal the 6-year term, the 6-year jail term. So, yes, he could, because that's the process of law. It is not a final. I remember that it's a district court, which we might call like a magistrate court here in Nigeria, that convicted him. So he can appeal to a higher court, to give him...
see what his luck, throws up. Okay, tell you what, Dennis, let me take a quick break. 40-year-old Simon Ekpa of Ohaku, Ebonyi State, but also a citizen of Finland, has just been jailed 6 years. Before we come, and our guest is... Mr. Amakre. But before we continue our conversation, Benga has called in from Abuja. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. On the repatriation of Ekpa,
yes,
I think that after it's out of jail, maybe the incoming government or the present government will be empowered, then they will decide on that. But as it is today, it gladdens my heart that justice came at last for the innocent souls who were killed because the sit-at-home command, instruction, direction from where he was there. Many of our soldiers, military officers were also killed because of the action of Ekpa. And since he was arrested in December, there has been a slowdown of those killing and the rest. Though not yet over,
yes,
we see that the sit-at-home is not as effective as it was before Ekpa was arrested. Justice at last, and that the souls of those people are not in vain. But more than that, when he was arrested, there was this outcry. They should bring him to Nigeria, bring Nigeria. And I said, government, don't try it, because if they are bringing him to Nigeria, the same people who are calling for him to be prosecuted in Nigeria will come and say, oh, it's our son. Boko Haram have been free. They have been given amnesty. Why can't you give amnesty? Did you shoot anybody? You're not just talking to two on radio. But now, the law has taken its effect over there. And it has made it, look at it, from December to August, about 9 months. Nnamdi Kanu has been there since 2016. No headway because of our loyal technicality here and there. So if Ekpa had been brought to Nigeria, we'll have same the same thing. They'll bring policy, sentiment, travel, everything into it. So it's good letting staff is sent there. If there's anything to be to Nigeria, we'll determine at that time. But this one is a good thing for us. And our judiciary and lawyers should learn from this. Why is the case with dealing for 60, about from 2016, about 9 years now? From that, from that time, I think it's not good for our democracy, which will, and our justice system. If you look at that also. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed for calling in. Dennis, there are other, the reports state that apart from, Ekpa himself, who has been arrested and convicted now, that there are also other people, these would have to be accomplices perhaps, who were behind financing his operations that were also, arrested as well. Well, that much we heard, but not that they have been convicted yet. They're probably still investigating. And it is important to get to the bottom of his financing, isn't it?
Definitely, because, one of the major problems with terrorism is the financiers. Terrorist financing is a big major problem. And, they have to dig into that to get that network. Because without even in Nigeria today now, Boko Haram, bandits, carrying AK-47s and stuff like that, they look at those people. They cannot buy a single AK-47, but they have many of them. That tells you that there are financiers, who are backing it. And of course, it will be very important that they go down and look for those people. But like your last caller said, if we are trying to bring him back to Nigeria, there might be a politicization of the whole situation. And that has been our major issue in Nigeria, the politicization of security matters, So now that he has been convicted, yeah, fine. Let him serve his jail term there. And I think let us learn the lessons that has come up, from his arrest and conviction. And then, of course, replicate that in Nigeria, because there are a lot of things to be done. And then, of course, there is a big, serious public orientation campaign that will go on. Yes, Ekpa has been arrested, he has been jailed, but the sit at home continues. And Indeed. We need to talk to people in the eastern, zone to know that, look, we don't have to sit at home. But if you say they don't have to sit at home, then you have to go after those unknown gunmen that are really scaring them.
Exactly. Because the governor, the Ebonyi State governor, and some other governors have said that there's nothing like sit at home in this place. Feel free to go out, but I think people, discretion, they are making discretion the better part of their valor, and are not actually, risking it yet. It's like, prove it, show that you can actually protect us. But maybe it'll now make a difference now that the man is in jail, and it certainly will be cutting off. Although I don't know if this is, they say that he was, convicted of terrorism-related offenses. And when we talk about actual terrorists, that are disturbing, the country, not IPOB, the other ones, the militant ones, the religious ones, we often hear that, these terrorists, what they are doing, we don't know what, quite frankly, we don't know what we can do with them. I think that's part of the problem, because you were just talking about, the financing his operations. Maybe I should ask the question, how difficult is it really to get to the bottom of financing? Money is a very secretive matter. So what kind of a task is before the Nigerian authorities who are wanting to know who the financiers of these people actually are?
Yes, like I said, terrorist financing is, a very, very big and difficult thing, to detect. But with international cooperation, we have been able to also even gather some information about people who are financing it, because the money moves around from different countries and it is underground under different cover, so it could be coming as charity to some people or something, but the money that is, they know where it is being directed to. And we have a Nigerian Financial Crimes Commission. There is the Financial Intelligence Unit. In fact, there are even foreign cooperation where the United Arab Emirates have sent us list of financiers, and I think let's forget the politicization and then face this thing by dealing with these things straight on. Because if we don't get the financiers, this problem will continue.
And also, we can probably chip in that it would be fallacy to assume that everybody in the southeast is behind these people in IPOB. Whether Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, whether this gentleman, Simon Ekpa, many of them disagree with their methodology and are saying that, quite frankly, they should not be linked to these kind of organizations. But they know that if it was to be free and fair assessment, then they wouldn't have very many people behind them. And that's why they've resorted to terror, terrorizing people, say, come out if they burn you well. Come out on Monday, let me see you. And so people will say, and all they need to do, unfortunately, is make a few examples, and then everybody will suddenly be telling their children and their kindred that please don't go out, just leave these people. Because unfortunately, you don't know. It is thought that in these kind of circles, we're talking about intelligence, talking about criminality and all that kind of a thing, you don't really know where you are, by which I mean that there are people who still are apprehensive about speaking with the authorities, even to help, unravel crimes, because you just don't know. For all you know, the authorities might indeed go and be speaking back again with the very people that have given you up. I don't know.
Yes, Yori. The Nigerian Civil War ended in 1967. Okay. Well, it started or was ended, but many years ago in the 60s. Okay. Yeah. 67 to 70.
Yes.
Yeah. So we know the situation of Biafra. Some of these people, Samuel Ekpa, even Nnamdi Kanu himself, most of them were not born when this thing happened. And of course, the progenitor of Biafra, Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu himself, has given up the idea, and he said, never again. We are not going to go through this
That's
again.
Right. That's right.
Because, of course, the casualties that were encountered, by people from that side, was much. But now, why do we still have this, thing coming up? It's because of maybe some kind of politics that is being played. And I think, like I said earlier, there are lessons that we have to learn. And those lessons are very, very clear. Many people in the eastern part of Nigeria are not in support. They are not in support. But when certain political decisions are taken and certain people are innocently killed, it now, aggravates certain situations. So we have to look at it carefully, and then, of course, make sure that we go, and then, of course, the governors have a lot of work to do. The governors in the Eastern region, they have a lot of work to do because many of them are not addressing the issue. You know, they should, the ordinary man has to be convinced that, yes, we're back in Nigeria, and then we don't have to agitate for any Biafra anymore. And then, of course, move forward. But when they're not doing that, and then all these people like Simon Ekpa and co will now have the opportunity, you know, to now start agitating. You know, it's the same thing we have in the Niger Delta, the militancy thing. Because if the government go down to the Niger Delta, change the environment for them with the money that is coming out there, then all these militants cannot come out and say, oh, I am doing militancy because my area has been spoiled, or, you know, oil has spilled over the place and stuff like that. But you allow those people to continue doing that, so people still have that agitation in mind.
Well, as has been said, we're, you know, even if it is one step at a time, we're moving, and there's a sense in which Nigeria's enemies, I don't think you can call them anything else, will be found out one by one and be dealt with as opportunity provides, because there again is the thing, and this is a very delicate one, where Nigeria wants to, or at least tries to operate as democratically as possible and with the rule of law. I think I'm saying that that might have been a sensitive one, because the way in which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to Nigeria, you know, there are those who are complaining about that. It's not about the net result of the action, but the processes. As you know, in court, sometimes you can be let off simply because the processes you went through to prove that there's an issue were wrong, and therefore we're throwing the whole thing out. So there are still those, there's still those who are a bit pissed off with how Mazi Kanu was. I don't know how he came in. Was he tricked? Was he bundled? But some are even using the word kidnapped. But he had been a thorn in the flesh of Nigeria, and he was brought back. Not everybody is happy about that, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was not part of the reasons that they are trying to explain to the authorities as to why this man requires to be set free. The processes were not right.
Yes, it is true. Democracy rule is under the rule of law. Democracies operate under the rule of law, and then everything, the processes have to be correct. If they are not correct, you know, even here in the United States, if you are arresting somebody and even if he has committed certain things, you have to Miranda him. If you don't Miranda him, you might end up, the Mirandering is, you know, where you policemen listen to it. I think even there was a case in the United States, you know, involving a lady called Miranda, you know, whereby you have to tell them that you have to remain silent. Anything you say will be taking evidence against you. You know, if you don't have a lawyer will be appointed to you. Now, this is mirandering. Now, and if that mirandering is not done, no matter how grievous the offense is, when they go to court and the lawyer says, oh, my client was not Miranda and you know, he was just arrested, they throw out the case.
Indeed.
So processes
for not being told your Miranda rights, you know.
Yes.
It's enough of a technical ground to
yes,
you know, spoil
the
the case against
processes
you.
must be followed, you know, if we want to practice democracy.
Okay. Mr. Joshua, good morning. Inire Walide.
And good morning to your guests.
Thank you.
Is heartwarming. It's a very good thing. Uncle Yorin, very good thing. The southeast, but I mean the gory pictures we have seen over time about the carnage, the destruction that happened in that region is very saddening. And the lives of the whole all these youths are going to be rehabilitated, because it came at a time when social media is very powerful. And this thing is capable of influencing people to an extent that we have not appreciated in Nigeria. The media is powerful. The social media. This guy sits up there. And the guy's head is just a skip maker.
I'm sorry, Joshua, the audio is not all that it could be. In fact, it's quite poor, unfortunately. So we can't hear what you are telling us. Maybe if you were to disconnect and try and reconnect again. But the one, I think you started off by saying that, well, this is heartwarming news. People can't continue to be a fly in our ointment in Nigeria. A Nigerian, for that matter, who has spent a number of years in another country, Finland in this case, and has acquired citizenship, and is now working against Nigeria. That can't be allowed to continue. And with patience, Nigeria didn't have a choice in any case, but to be patient. Yesterday happened, yesterday came around, and it was his day. Ekpa got his day in court, and the bench, the judge was not impressed, and here he is beginning a 6-year jail term. Whether he will be appealing remains to be seen, but at least he's got 6 years in the first instance. And when you look at it, even these pictures that we're getting, it shows that Finland is cooperating. I mean, these are pictures that we're getting, and Finland is cooperating, but they just wanted from the beginning for it to be seen as, look, we have our laws here. We understand that this man is a Nigerian, but we must satisfy our own laws. And it took time. I think it was Shegun from Abuja who called in to say that, imagine, from all the way from January, February, right up till now, before we can sort this out. But you see, that's the way the law is. You want to cross the T's and dot the I's, and so here we are. Whether it will now have an effect, but maybe what we're doing, I don't know, Dennis, maybe what is being done now is that they're being squeezed less and less and less space. Okay, Joshua, I hear you're back. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm happy you heard that it is heartwarming.
Yes.
I said this guy has used the media at a point when he came newly to Nigeria to ruin the lives of so many young people. I don't know how these young people are going to be rehabilitated. But this news, thank you for your program and for everybody else. This news should be given a very, very wide coverage so that it will serve as a deterrent, like an information to people that those who are outside there will be shouting that these people are creating mayhem in Nigeria. Nigeria is a zoo. Nigeria is this. Not knowing that they are not here in the country. They want to put fire in Nigeria and burn down everything. I'm sure, unfortunately, your station there was burnt down by this NSAS, mayhem. You say revolution. Revolution, you are burning down people. There's passion everywhere. What revolution are they talking about? We need conflict resolution in Nigeria among the nationals. Even the East, there has been a civil war before that claimed so many lives. What did we gain from it? Nothing. So what we need is conflict resolution, not revolution. Everything Nigeria is revolution now. Young people will gather themselves in the street. Instead of looking for job to do, they will be following Sowore, revolution, tearing everywhere down. I mean, just behaving anyhow. We are misusing social media because of the influence of these guys. So please, Uncle Yori, the youth, we should appeal to them. These people are not, they are not revolutionaries or in any form. They are just, street urchins. So unfortunate to use that. But,
Yeah.
look at the mayhem, the terror they are causing for Nigerians. And they are enjoying there, carrying girlfriends up and down.
Well,
I just hope that our Nigerian system will take a cue from Finland, and we will work on our judicial system so that there will be speedy dispensation of justice.
indeed, that is tremendously important. And also to let the law play itself out. Because somebody, I think one person, at least a couple of people have said that there's a Nigerian system where you sort of want to intervene, and people of substance sometimes put themselves forward as character witnesses for the person. I remember there's been a situation where some other high-ranking big man had legal problems, and we have, distinguished people from here writing the court in the UK to say that I can vouch for him. He's not a bad guy like that. So I hope you can see your way to not throwing the book at him. That kind of thing probably doesn't happen elsewhere, but it does happen in Nigeria.
What we need actually, Yori, is equal justice under the law. Equal justice.
Exactly.
Because you politicize security issues, you are, selective justice, it does not work well. And you find out that the citizens then will not trust the judicial system. So for people to trust the judicial system, where they can even take something to, they don't have to depend on jungle justice now. If something happened, they have the confidence that they will take it to the judicial system, and justice will be done.
Indeed. So I guess we can say kudos to the judicial system in Finland that has done its own independent investigation, examination of the facts. Lawyers were involved. There will be lawyers for the prosecution, lawyers for the defense. And after all of that has been done, Simon Ekpa, the man from Ohaku, Ebonyi State, and also a Finnish citizen, has been jailed for 6 years. We'll see how it goes. I want to thank you very much for getting up as early as you have to get up over there in the U.S. in order to talk to us in Nigeria at this time. Thank you very much, Dennis. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me, Yori.
All right, then. Okay, so that's our program. We're going to have to leave it